Imagine discovering that your sharpest thinking happens not in your 20s, but decades later. A revelation that could flip everything you thought you knew about aging and intelligence. This isn't just a feel-good myth. Groundbreaking science reveals that our minds often hit their prime far beyond what we've been led to believe, challenging long-held beliefs about when we're at our cognitive best. Ready to explore how our brains evolve over time? Let's dive in and uncover why later life might just be your mental superpower. But here's where it gets controversial. What if society is holding us back by undervaluing wisdom earned through years of experience? Recent studies paint a surprising picture of human brain development, showing that while our physical prowess typically shines brightest in early adulthood, think peak athletic performance around ages 25 to 35. Our psychological faculties like logical reasoning, emotional steadiness, ethical decision-making, and sound judgment often don't reach their zenith until between 55 and 60 years old. Even qualities such as diligence and composure keep improving, peaking in the mid-60s and mid-70s respectively, with our capacity to dodge mental pitfalls, those sneaky shortcuts in thinking that can lead to poor choices, potentially growing stronger even into our 70s and 80s. For beginners wondering what these cognitive biases entail, think of them as automatic assumptions our brains make to simplify complex situations, like jumping to conclusions based on stereotypes, which can distort reality if not checked. Contrary to the popular idea that youth equals mental peak, cutting-edge research is turning that narrative on its head. Sure, our bodies might excel in their prime during those early adult years, but mounting evidence indicates that the brain keeps maturing, allowing it to operate at full throttle much later in life. Grasping the timeline of these cognitive and emotional milestones gives us a whole new lens for viewing aging, career productivity, and the potential of leaders across fields. A key study, published in the journal Intelligence and led by Gillis E. Gignac, an associate professor of psychology at the University of Western Australia, delved into a broad spectrum of psychological attributes that drive real-life success. It zeroed in on fundamental cognitive skills, such as analytical reasoning, memory capacity, information processing speed, accumulated knowledge, and emotional savvy, alongside the 5 core personality dimensions: outgoingness, emotional resilience, dependability, openness to new ideas, and kindness. This comprehensive approach helps us understand how these traits interplay to shape our abilities in everyday scenarios, from making tough choices at work to navigating personal relationships. The results were eye-opening. Multiple traits hit their highs well into maturity. Dependability, for instance, often tops out around age 65, while emotional resilience might not fully blossom until about 75. Overall mental acuity seems to climax between 55 and 60, then slowly tapers off starting in the mid-60s, with a sharper drop after 75. And this is the part most people miss. It's not just about raw speed or recall. Deeper, more reflective skills gain ground as we age. Wisdom and ethical thinking get better with time. Going beyond personality, the research shines a light on cognitive abilities that often get overlooked in talks about growing older. For example, the skill of ethical reasoning, evaluating right from wrong in nuanced situations, and the knack for spotting and resisting those cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, where we favor info that matches our beliefs, frequently keep strengthening into our 70s and 80s. Gignac points out that these enhancements could be why high-stakes roles in business, politics, and beyond are so often filled by people in their 50s and early 60s. Sure, some functions like quick processing might fade over time, but the compensations in insight, broad perspectives, and strategic decision-making help keep the balance. To illustrate for beginners, picture a seasoned CEO weighing a complex merger. Their ability to foresee long-term impacts, honed over years, might outweigh a younger executive's faster data crunching. Age doesn't equal inability, but society sometimes thinks it does. Even with these uplifting discoveries, older workers still bump up against real hurdles in the job market. Age bias lingers stubbornly, despite protections like the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, which safeguards those 40 and up. A poll by Resume Now found that nearly 90% of employees over 40 have felt the sting of age-related prejudice at work, with about half saying bosses prefer younger applicants. Certain jobs, like airline pilots or air traffic controllers, mandate retirement due to the intense mental demands, raising questions about whether these rules are outdated in light of the brain's later blooming. This data pushes back against cultural stereotypes about aging. History is dotted with examples of groundbreaking contributions arriving in midlife or beyond. Charles Darwin released his game-changing On the Origin of Species at 50. Ludwig van Beethoven debuted his iconic Ninth Symphony at 53 despite total deafness, and modern trailblazers like Lisa Su, CEO of AMD, have spearheaded major tech innovations in their 50s. These stories highlight how experience can fuel brilliance, not just youthful energy. And here's a controversial angle. Could forcing early retirement in demanding fields actually be costing society valuable expertise? What do you think? Should mandatory age caps be reevaluated? Gignac stresses that mental sharpness varies hugely from person to person, and judgments should hinge on demonstrated capabilities, not birth dates. He advocates for inclusive hiring that embraces all ages, noting that many of history's greatest feats happen long after traditional peak years. He reminds us that undervaluing older talent isn't just unfair, it's counterproductive. Experts suggest practical steps to nurture brain vitality over time. Think of it as building a fortress for your mind. Load up on nutrient-packed foods like veggies, fruits, nuts, and fish. Stay active with regular exercise. Prioritize quality sleep, and keep the learning going through activities like picking up a new language, tackling puzzles, or diving into hobbies. For instance, engaging in chess or painting not only stimulates creativity, but also sharpens problem-solving. While our DNA influences how our brains age, these daily choices can make a world of difference, potentially staving off decline and boosting happiness. To sum it up, while bodily feats crest early on, mental and emotional strengths evolve on a slower, more rewarding timeline. Instead of a downhill slide, key psychological traits build up through middle age and beyond. Genetics matter, but lifestyle is a powerful ally. Challenging your brain with new adventures can preserve memory and logic well into later years, turning potential weaknesses into enduring strengths. Originally published on October 17, 2025. What are your thoughts? Do you believe society should rethink how we value experience over youth in leadership roles? Have you noticed age bias in your own career? Share your opinions in the comments. We'd love to hear differing views and spark a conversation.